when you're turned on by your life, when you're turned on by projects that you're doing, by things that are going on, it impacts your level of health, like your health, your success, like everything. Like I feel like when you're inspired and when you're in that state, you're far less likely to get sick. You're far less likely to get in a fight with somebody and it be a big deal, right? You could get triggered by somebody, but you're going to resolve that, and you're going to be very emotionally intelligent in the situation. Your emotional intelligence skyrockets.
Welcome to Wellness Spring, our one-stop shop for education, inspiration, motivation, and optimal wellness. Learn from top experts and exceptional people.
Sarah, I was blessed to meet about a few months ago virtually. We didn't really have a conversation. We met through our amazing writing coach, Mirav Tarko. We both did a 10-week challenge for writing a book and learned loads of tips. And you, Sarah, have just launched your third best-selling book, Orgasmic Attraction.
Yes.
So,
yeah, it's been super fun, and it's been really great to meet you and all the other women that are a part of Mirav's world. And we just launched on January 7th, which was my birthday. It's been really fun, and I feel like we're still in the midst of it.
Yeah. Before we delve into your book, would you like to, I might read out your bio so everybody knows a bit more about you. So the lovely Sarah Fast is an intuitive healer, an alignment and embodiment mentor, digital content and experience creator, public speaker, co-founder of Spark Minot, and 3 times best-selling author and mum of 3. And I've recently found out that in 2011 she was traveling here in Australia, all the way from Sydney up to Cannes. But before we delve into that and your amazing book, which I'm in the process of reading and can highly recommend, can you tell the audience where you're from, where you grew up, how your journey began? Well, first of all, tell them about your education, your parents, your sibling, their backgrounds, because I like my audience to get a real feel of you and get into the nitty-gritty.
Yeah, so I grew up in Minot, North Dakota, so I'm in the States. I've lived here my whole life. I've traveled a bunch, but I've been stationed in North Dakota my whole life. I have, as far as blood relatives, I actually only have one brother blood relative, and then I have half siblings that I'm actually closer to. I have a couple of sisters that we have the same dad, and different moms. And then as far as growing up, I'd say it was pretty average, growing up, and getting into this journey was a lot of, it was like a calling. My headphones are like falling out of my ears, as you can, these headphones kind of drive me nuts a little bit. It's like, you stay in my ears, right? So along the way, as far as my education, I graduated high school, I went to college, I got a degree. I have a double bachelor's in psychology and criminal justice. However, that route was kind of like oh, I should get my degree, right? I should do this, I should do that. This personal development and my desire to follow, I suppose, pleasure and my desires was very much a calling. It was something that just kept calling me. So that started when I was out of college. It was about when I was pregnant with my first son, actually. And then I had started getting into business after I had my first son, which was in 2015. So ever since then, I have been on this path of learning and growing and following what my heart and my soul desires more than anything.
Wow, you covered a lot there, and I think it's the modern world with people having siblings that are, you know, from different fathers or mothers, and half brothers, half sisters, step brothers, step sisters, and so forth. And also people, many years ago, people would stay together because of maybe religious beliefs, and, you know, this is, you know, how we were born, and we stick together for the sake of the children and so forth. But I think that has changed a lot. Can you tell us about your parents anyway, what they did for a living? And, you know, because you did a double degree, which is incredible, in psychology, criminal justice. And tell us what that experience was like, and if either of your parents are in those lines of field, and what they felt about you changing your career pathway completely, because it's a big turnaround.
Yeah, so neither one of my parents actually went to college. And even going back to my sisters, I feel like I'm actually the first and only one that went to college and got a degree out of everybody. Now, okay, so Leslie, my one sister did get a degree in, I can't really remember exactly what, but she did get a degree. But I mean, I'm one of the few. Like my mom, she did social services stuff. However, it didn't require a degree. And then also my dad had a farm, and he did farming for quite a while. So that was kind of more like experience type field. So yeah, that's what they both did. My mom did social services work, my dad did farming. And also kind of,
so what type of farming was it? Agricultural or other?
Yep, it was that, and mostly, you know, he'd have, you know, cows and stuff like that. Like he'd take care of that, and then agricultural mostly.
Great. So getting connection with Mother Earth and with the land.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. And what did they think about you changing your career pathway?
You know, they just wanted me to be happy, really. Like they just wanted, that was their biggest thing, was just be happy and follow that. So I think that's been a big inspiration to me in doing that, in actually doing that, and not thinking I need to prove myself to them or be this certain person for them. My mom especially was always somebody that was my biggest fan. She always wanted me to be happy, and that was something that I've taken with me, as both of my parents have now passed. Like both of my parents passed in the past 3 years. 2020, my mom passed, and then just recently in November, my dad passed. So, but both of them were very, like, they never really forced me to be a certain way, which I'm grateful for. Very much so. They just wanted me to be happy.
Oh, that's lovely. And I'm very sorry to hear about the passing of both of them. I'm sure they're both remarkable souls. I can empathize with you because I lost my mum when I was only 23, and then my dad about when I was 40-ish. And yeah, it's a big loss, and we're going through a phase at the moment, you know. The last 2 years globally, we've gone through a phase of loss, be it loss of loved ones, family, friends, loss of jobs, and lots of careers as we knew them. And people are looking more. We've all had the wonderful opportunity to look within and choose a career to follow our passion, you know, and find our happiness. And I truly believe this is the way forward with the world. I know there's great astrologers like Pamela Gregory and many others, and loads of scientists and loads of spiritual people are saying this is the year to bring and embody the new energy, and the first time ever that we'll be raising the vibration to divine love. What are your thoughts on that?
My thoughts are, yeah, I mean, I believe that we have to radiate that energy to call in more of it. So I guess that's my biggest thing, is everybody needs to be radiating that energy so that that is the norm. So I think that's the biggest thing, is we have to have more people really focused on that, and really very aware of when negativity is coming up, so that it can be shifted quickly and turned into light, into that light energy that the universe needs, you know, and everybody needs.
I totally agree. And I know from chats earlier, like I was blessed that my mother was clairvoyant and I grew up that way. However, in my era, people used to think you were crazy. So my mum told me to keep it a secret. And you block it in, and what usually comes naturally for you, you know, you're hiding it as if it's something bad or something evil, you know. And now it's mainstream for people, especially like now when people talk about consciousness. We've got great gurus like Eckhart Tolle, Joe Dispenza, Bruce Lipton, and so forth, and Nassim Haramein. You know, it's all about, we are life beings and we are conscious beings. But you talked about bringing this vibration up and alignment. How do people do that? Because I'm sure there'd be many listeners and this is like a new language for them.
Mm-hmm. Yep. So some of the things that I do on a daily basis, so the first thing is it always comes down to our thoughts, and it always comes down to noticing how your body is, how your body feels, how your energy feels. If it feels sluggish, if it feels like you can't move, like you don't want to move, right? Like it's like you get up or your alarm clock goes off and you like don't want to get out of bed, right? Then your energy is blocked. Like there's resistance there. You know, I feel like as humans, I feel like everybody should be flowing through their days. So noticing and being very self-aware is definitely the first step. Like you have to know what is actually behind that to shift it. So then when you're aware of it, you can shift it and you can release that resistance, and that comes from movement. That comes from I call pleasure somatics is my main technique, and that is by putting on music that feels really good, right? And like actually allowing your body to move weird way. It's like it doesn't need to look a certain way. It's like you're just moving to the music and any way that you want to move, but like your energy is shifting in that moment. Or honestly, like if you're in a cold climate like I am, even just stepping outside for a few minutes when it's cold out and you don't have a coat on, that really does wonders for your energy. It does shift because it's like get really cold. And I actually do this in the shower too, where I will turn on the cold water and then I'll turn on the hot water, and then it shocks your cells in a way that actually revitalizes them and allows you to move that energy. So things like this, meditation is great. Meditation is, of course, wonderful. And I actually teach non-resistant meditation, where you're listening to a sound and you're practicing non-judgment of your thoughts and detachment of your thoughts. This is really important. So some of these techniques, I would say, are the main ones that I use every day.
Wonderful. Because I know from scientists, we used to have 60,000 thoughts a day. It's up to about 70,000. So that's over one thought a second. And they're usually negative thoughts. The same thoughts being played over and over and over. And people are not consciously aware how much they got going on in their mind, So I like to teach people to declutter their mind. And like we declutter our home, when we all spring clean, it's such a wonderful feeling. And when we declutter our mind, it's the same. So yes, I agree with you, meditation is good. And I've been teaching hot and cold showers for years. So I start with a warm shower and build it up, and then the cold shower, and do it for 6 minutes, so minute hot, minute cold, minute hot. So it's actually like doing shrugs. And for people because I come from a medical background, so people with any blood pressure or heart problems, just do it with caution. And I tell them to gently put their hand in and get used to it, and then the whole body, so they don't completely collapse. But yeah, it's so wonderful. And then you've got people that go the extreme, like Wim Hof with the ice baths, plunging into the ice baths, and science is behind it all. And years ago, I used to.
Tony Robbins is he does crazy stuff with that too. Yeah.
Okay, I resisted Tony Robbins for years. And then finally I went to one of his courses, and I thought, oh my God, it's like a cult, because we were all like singing and chanting before you walk the fire coals. And then once you've done that, it's like, you surrender, because again, it's all part of your programming and letting go. It was just such an amazing weekend, and I was really glad to be part of it. And it's really great to see how he has blossomed, and loads of other people like Deepak Chopra, and everybody is evolving, and they're all giving the same message, and it's about bringing in this new love energy. So I know you have your coaching, Awaken You coaching. So could you give us an example of a typical, if you do have a typical session, or what would happen if someone came to you?
Yeah, I'd say the most common thing is I coach people mostly on how to let go and release resistance to receive pleasure. So I feel, especially for women, this is the most common thing that we do, is we get attached to stress and to what is going wrong and to what we don't want. Like, I feel like this is the common thing that I've kind of came to a conclusion on, as far as like my experience and all of that. So the biggest thing is actually relaxing and practicing the mindfulness and practicing letting go and practicing just allowing in the pleasure, like releasing your guard so that you can focus on feeling good and having fun, and like that's the priority. So I teach my clients in our sessions how to do that and how to anchor that in and how to really put that at the forefront, because I feel like it's so important in not just relationships, but money, like attracting money and success and everything that you want. It really is a forefront of pleasure being the dominant emotion. So in my sessions, I teach my clients how to anchor that in, how that can be reality, like how that is going to shift everything in their lives.
Fabulous. What would you say to someone who keeps repeating negative patterns over and over and over again? You know, it's like lots of people come to me, it's like they've started a new job, oh yeah, the boss is picking on me, or someone is picking on me, or the same with relationships, and everything, they are the victim, everything is surrounded by dramas.
Mm-hmm. Yep. I would say it's like they're attached. So this is it's just an attachment issue. It's like you're attached to what you don't want. So it's like a negativity override. So in order to fix a negativity override, you have to overflow it in positivity. Like you have to overflow the negativity and positivity. So you have to literally do things that light you up. You have to turn yourself on. You have to masturbate more, right? Like you have to see your success. You have to feel fulfilled. You have to focus on your goals. You have to show up for your goals. You have to take action. You have to do all of these things in order to bypass the negativity. So it's like an override situation where, and also you have to be very self-aware of it. Like if they're not aware that they're focused on the negative and they're focused on all of these things, then it's not going to shift. But if they're very aware of it, of course it can shift. It shifts with them taking action. It shifts with their embodiment and their willingness to learn and receive support and receive the growth and the lessons that are coming in without it being like criticism and without it being like there's something wrong with them, right? Like there's nothing wrong with them. It's just been negativity over negativity, and it's literally driven, like it's taken over their body and their mind.
Yeah, because some people are fixated on it, and I think from my experience, you know, I've seen people who are very low, suffering with deep anxiety and depression, and they can't see the wood through the trees because everything is doom and gloom. And it's like, yeah, it's all right for you, but you don't understand. This is happening to me, and everywhere I go, bad things are happening. And, you know, they can't
ruminate that. Like when you're ruminating in that, and you believe that, right? It's like you have to believe something else is possible for you before you can shift it.
Yeah, very good tip. And you talked about masturbating then, and how important is that? Because like when I was growing up, it was like hush hush, and we didn't even get a sex talk from my parents, or especially my mother, and she didn't get one from her mother.
It's very important because self-pleasure now, and I talk about this a lot in my coaching, it's not just sexual. there's so much more to self-pleasure than just masturbation, right? However, you have to know your own body before you can teach somebody else to like what you are turned on by. If you're not in tune with your own body and like what turns you on, how can you teach somebody else, right? Like it doesn't work that way. So we have, as women, we have to be attuned. We have to know what turns us on. You have to speak up, right? Like for me, I guess it came to the point where like I was having sex, but like I wasn't achieving orgasm. And then I got sick of that. And I was like, okay, this is stupid. What am I doing? Right. So I started learning and getting more in tune with my body. And now there's no way I don't have sex and not have an orgasm, right? It's like I'm sorry, but I'm good. Like I'm not doing that unless I'm gonna be getting off too, right? So I think it's very important, not only just in like other relationships, other intimate relationships with your spouse or with your partner or whatever, but like it's very important with yourself, because you can kind of feel into that and like learn what brings you pleasure in that sense, but also it inspires your goals and it inspires you to show like to, for me, if I'm you know, say having my own little time or whatever, and I'm like feeling that, it's going to fuel me further. So I'm going to be inspired to take action in my business. I'm going to be inspired to do something that I want to do. Like it's so much more than just getting off. It's you're releasing your pleasure hormones, which is sparking inspiration, which is sparking joy, which is sparking all sorts of things in you. And that lasts, it lasts for some time.
Fantastic. And yeah, I know a lot of people talk about tantric sex because, you know, obviously from what I understand, you're not actually having sex, you're just bringing the sexual energy up. I know my Reiki master used to talk about feeling the sex energy in your base chakra and bringing it up to your heart. And that energy is like unbelievable, the power in it. And would that be the same?
So I've never done tantric. I've never done that. I've heard of it. But I do believe it's similar. It's an internal energy that you feel when you're turned on by life. In my opinion, it's like when you're turned on by your life, when you're turned on by projects that you're doing, by things that are going on, it impacts your level of health, like your health, your success, like everything. Like I feel like when you're inspired and when you're in that state, you're far less likely to get sick. You're far less likely to get in a fight with somebody and it be a big deal, right? You could get triggered by somebody, but you're going to resolve that and you're going to be very emotionally intelligent in a situation. Your emotional intelligence skyrockets, you know, and I think that's the focus, is when you're in a pleasure state and you're secreting more pleasure hormones than stress hormones, you are an emotionally intelligent being and you're able to accomplish so much more and have better relationships and a higher quality of life in general.
Yeah, I totally agree. And it's all about high quality life. And I think with this new love energy, everything is about, because you talked about relationships, it's about having good relationships, that it all starts with yourself, getting to know yourself and having a good relationship with yourself, and then your family and your friends, and getting that community together. And I know you feel the same way. But before we delve further, can you tell us who or what inspired you to write your book, Orgasmic Attraction?
So this book was, I mean, I have plenty of inspiration throughout the way, right? Like so I mean, one of the biggest ones was actually Ellen DeGeneres, and Tony Robbins and Lauren Eliz Love, and those were some of the ones that I actually do, that I've been to. I mean, I've been to things with them. Melanie and Lair. Who else inspired me? But really, I inspired myself. I said, I want to write another book. I had written a book before, and this book pretty much flowed through me. Like, it was divinely guided. Like, I didn't have to force myself to write it. It was just, it kept coming, it kept coming, it kept coming out. And which made it really special to me, because I teach this, I teach flow, and I teach not forcing yourself to do stuff. I teach, of course, action, but like inspired action, being in flow. So it's really special to me because I was really inspired along the way. However, this was Abraham Hicks. Abraham Hicks is like a huge inspiration to me in this book. So it's my take on law of attraction meets pleasure embodiment, and that is what flowed through the entire book.
Wow, I love Abraham Hicks as well. And I'm not familiar with everybody you spoke about, but obviously Tony Robbins. And you mentioned flow and embodiment. Can you elaborate a bit more on that for people who are not sure what being in the flow is?
Yeah, so being in flow is not having to force yourself to do stuff in general. It's like you don't need to force yourself to take action. It feels effortless to you. It feels like, okay, of course I'm going to do this. Now, will there be some resistance along the way? Yeah, resistance, there will be resistance, but like you'll be able to lean into that in a way that just kind of flows. Like it's like, of course you're going to do it. Of course you're going to do it because that's the kind of person you are. Of course you're going to show up for yourself because that's what you want, right? So it's this inspired, consistent pleasure state where you are showing up for yourself and your desires, and it's not hard for you. Like it's not hard to stay motivated. It's not hard to be inspired. It's just who you become in the process.
That's beautiful, because I don't know about you, but I know you've got 3 children. They're obviously very young at the moment, but I've had so many young people reaching out to me and various parents and saying, you know, my daughter or son, you know, or grandkids really want to learn about holistic living or, you know, spirituality and things like that. And I find it very humbling, you know, that children are reaching out to me and asking to befriend me and learn from me. And, you know, I just think it's amazing that they're bringing this new energy in. So with your children, do you teach them this new way of living, or other children, for example?
So I talked to Lincoln about it quite a bit. He's the oldest, so he's 7. Kennedy is 2, and Madison is 1. So both of them are pretty young to understand. However, yes, Lincoln, this is going to be something that I definitely ingrain in my kids. It is going to be emotional intelligence and just following your desires and this kind of thing. Absolutely, because I feel like it's so important and it's something that I'm passionate about, so why wouldn't I share it with them?
Lovely. And what does your husband or partner do?
He sells cars. So he sells cars at a local dealership in town, and he's really good. He's like the top salesman there.
And is he supportive of your work, or does he think you're a bit woo-woo?
He doesn't really like know too much, you know. He's supportive, but he doesn't really like tune in to what it is that much.
Yeah.
But
No, because when I grew up, everything was woo-woo, like meditation and yoga. Yoga they used to think was for hippies, and it was like shh. So everybody would think it was weird, you know. So I learned to be quiet, and then you learn to block it. And I even blocked my intuition, which I call my God self or my super genius, you know, those the life force, my soul, my spirit, that essence, you know. So over the years I've blocked it and then gone on courses, and recently I had the message, stop doing the courses. You did this so naturally when you were a child and growing up, you know. And when I just forget everybody and everything and just allow it to flow, when I just follow my intuition, it just seems so natural. Because when I was growing up, people thought I was very impulsive and very crazy, and you know, people would ask me to go somewhere and do something, and credit cards had come out, and my father was furious with me for just going, yeah, I'll go to Spain, I'll go here, go there, because I would just put it all on the credit card and just trust that I could repay it when I got back. Because his thoughts were never a lender or borrower be. But now it's helped me to get back on track with my book writing, because everything was going round in my mind, you know, with so many stories about this person, that person, the other person. It's like, right, you've got that same wisdom inside you, you know, just tap into it and just let it all flow. So what tips can you give to someone who's starting out on a writing career or a coaching career?
oh yeah, the biggest thing is, yeah, don't overthink it. Yeah, don't overthink what it is you want to do. Show up 110%, like show up 110% for what it is you want. And know that it's not always going to be easy. Like you have to show up. Like you have to be consistent, and it's not going to fall into your lap. You have to, and I don't even like saying prove yourself, but like you have to be available. You have to energetically be available for people in order to gain that visibility and that traction. And you have to keep doing it. You can't just be emotionally available to somebody for a little bit, right? You have to be open for a long time, right? And some people, you know, some people do not. It's like everybody's different. So like you have to gain this closeness with people by your content, by your feed, by your experience. So you have to show up, you have to have leadership, like you have to take leadership of your life in order to lead others. You have to be like a master of self-leadership, especially in the coaching field, in order to attract other people that want to be in your world. Like you have to be a master of it. And then you have to detach. Detachment is huge. Like you have to be able to detach from making things mean some, you know, like you have to detach from people, you have to detach from results, you have to detach from your overall business in order to be happy, you know. And because you could get attached to shit so easily where now all of a sudden that's your life, right? But it's not your life. So you have to learn detachment in order to be successful, in my opinion. Because in my world, pleasure is just happiness, right? It's just a fancy word for happiness, pleasure. So pleasure equals success. Happiness equals success. If you're putting your health on the back burner, if you're putting your relationships on the back burner, if you're putting these these main things on the back burner to get money, to get clients, right? Like to do these things, it's just a ticking time bomb, in my opinion. So I teach the opposite and I focus on the opposite. It's like, I don't want your business if I'm not healthy. Like if I'm not actually able to put my health first, if I'm not able to hang out with my kids, right? Like, you know, so that's so important to me in this process. So I hope that answered your question. Sorry.
No, that's
rambling on.
No, that's great, because, you know, for me, the word that struck out the most was want. So we don't, as women especially, put our needs and desires first, and we have to make our want 110%. And when we want something so badly, it's in our every waking hour, you know, we fall asleep thinking about it, we wake up thinking about it, and everything else flows from that. And I agree with you, you have to lead from your heart. And when you are the master of whatever you are professing, then everything follows. You find your tribe, and maybe negative people or situations in your life will have to disappear, and so be it. You know, it's for the better. And I've always taught, it doesn't matter if you're a road cleaner, a toilet cleaner, anything, you know, if you do it with passion, you feel it. Like my niece always used to laugh at me because I'd come home after the cleaning bee and I'd be so excited because you can feel the change in the energy. And she was cleaning when she was in between jobs, and when she did my apartment and the yoga school that she worked for, they used to say, even the students would comment, oh my God, you can feel the divine energy. Something's different, you know, and it's because she loved what she was doing with so much. So it doesn't matter what we do if you give 110%. And think of everything not as work, but as your passion, you know, and it's a way to get in tune with ourselves, because we're not all wanting high-flying corporate jobs. Sometimes, you know, we're happy with what we've got less responsibilities, though we've got more time with our family and friends and whatever matters to us most. So on that note, if there was one thing you could do to change the world, what would it be?
One thing to change the world. One thing to change the world. That's a tough one. I feel like I'd probably invite everybody to a good old-fashioned, some kind of party, like pool party or something, to just connect, you know, to just connect and to throw out all religion and throw out everything, like just for a day, you know, just for a day, and just everybody have fun. Like everybody just have fun and see what that does the next day. That would be what I would love to do.
That's beautiful. You know, when we shed our labels and just truly connect from the heart, that's when the magic happens. So thank you. That's lovely. And are you still doing your free courses for digital digital communication and things like that, and your empowerment courses?
Yep, so I have a free group that I am doing master classes in, like that's where all my free stuff is. And then I have like a paid membership also, but like my free group is I'm turning into like a group, but it was like my launch community, and I'm actually launching my next free class on Friday that I'm going to be announcing. So yeah, absolutely.
Wow, well, please feel free to put it in the notes after the call, and I'm happy for you to share on my timeline when you do it. And when we process this to YouTube, I'll add everything to the notes as well. And I just want to thank you so much, dear Sarah, for giving up your precious time. And it's lovely to be in this love energy, and I know you've got 3 beautiful children waiting for you, and I know they're your pride and joy and passion along with traveling. So wishing you a wonderful rest of your night, and bon continuation.
Thank you so much for having me, and it's been a wonderful time, so thank you.